Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Beatrice Oti. I know I've been out of social media for a while. That is because I am busy. So in this video, I'll be talking about the Atlantic Pilot Provincial Nominee. Well, Atlantic Pilot Stream, Atlantic Pilot. However, it comes under the provincial nominee path or provincial nominee stream to be deemed eligible for permanent residency. So don't go anywhere. Do me want to like, share, subscribe, click on the thumbs up. I will be bringing you more content. I'm still on my social media break, but not for YouTube. Like YouTube is king. Okay, so see you on the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Hello everybody. This is Beatrice Oti, your Canada immigration expert. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you are new to my channel, my name is Beatrice Oti. Do me want to like, share, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, smash it. Click on the notification bell, click on the thumbs up. So in this video, I'll be telling you everything Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, all you need to know. So if you are returning subscribers, you know what's up. You know I was gonna do this because in Prince Edward Island, I mentioned this would be next. Okay, so what is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program for people who have never heard of it? So Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is a complementary provincial nominee program. However, this is different because they only recruit, the employer does a lot of job. It's kind of different. The employer does a lot of job as well as the candidates, everything we talked about. So employers recruit candidates, a settlement plan is involved. The candidates have to work in the Atlantic province. I will tell you what these Atlantic province are, and the candidate gets a permanent residency. Okay, so that is what Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is about. So you can see my slides. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, before diving in detail, what are these Atlantic provinces? So if you listened to my previous video, so if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's Prince Edward Island that is sitting on my YouTube channel. That was the most recent video I did last week. So other Atlantic provinces include Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island. These are the 4 provinces that comes under the Atlantic provinces, and these are the 4 provinces that also come under the Atlantic Pilot Province. So the previous video talked about Prince Edward Island immigration provincial nominee, so do me want to listen to that. Now, Atlantic pilots may be confusing because people will be like, oh, so does that mean I just have to go into the Canada website and then apply for it? No, so listen to this video. I will show you how it works and what this program would come under. Okay, just listen. Okay, so how is a candidate or a foreign national deemed eligible for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Provincial Nominee? So there are 3 programs that comes under the Atlantic Pilot. I already told you guys what those Atlantic provinces are. So you must come under this 3 program in order for you to be deemed eligible, in order for you to meet the eligibility requirements, in order before an employer would even consider recruiting you. You have to meet one of these 3 eligibility requirements. If you do not meet any of these 3 eligibility requirements, then unfortunately you will not be picked by the employer. This pilot actually deals like the workload is actually more the employer. The candidate does have something to do. So, I would say it's a 3 process, but here I would say 2 process because settlement service also plays a role. So let's dive in. What are the 3 main streams that would deem you eligible? Number 1, Atlantic International Graduate. International student, hop on, subscribe. Click on that subscribe button, please, and support me. Let me know in the comment section if I missed something, if you have a question, so that I can gain mastery, okay? So for Atlantic International Graduate, you must get a job offer that is at least 1 year. Your education must be done in Canada. So if you get like your you got like a second degree and the second degree is in your home country, and that's all the degree you have, unfortunately you're ineligible. If you have that and you got a master's in Canada, then good for you, you're eligible with your master's in Canada. So every degree done in Canada in the Atlantic provinces is what counts under the Atlantic International Graduate. So no work experience is required for this stream, but if you do have a work experience, then good for you. But however, this stream, no work experience is actually required. So someone may ask me, okay, what if I get like my BSc in Ontario? Ineligible because that's not an Atlantic province. What if it's in Manitoba? Ineligible because that is not an Atlantic province. So if you want to know those, go listen to some of my videos because I did go in detail for Canada, immigration, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. I've done half of them, right? And I'll be going deep into the Atlantic provinces. So watch out for the upcoming weeks. I'll be giving it back to back for those Atlantic provinces. Now, we also have the Atlantic Intermediate Skilled. That's another stream that will make you eligible. You must also get a job offer. However, the job offer has to be permanent. Now, depending on the NOC level, certain degrees or diploma is required. Now, for Intermediate Skill, NOC level C, will consider you eligible. I will dive deep into NOC level C and what are some of the jobs one can get with NOC level C. So NOC level C counts, NOC level O, NOC level A, NOC level B, and you don't really need like a huge degree except you have your experience is NOC level A, which would require like a professional degree. But if you're NOC level C, then a high school diploma would be good, as long as you're going to settle in the Atlantic province. Okay, so a work experience is required for the intermediate skilled. A work experience is also required for the high skilled. So I'm sorry I didn't say that. For the intermediate skilled, you have to show work experience of intermediate skilled before we get into high skilled. Intermediate skilled, you have to show work experience of at least 1 year. Could be full-time or part-time in the last 1 year experience in the last 3 years. So it could be full-time or part-time. And yes, for intermediate skills, so be it NOC C, O, A, or B, you have to show them that you have at least 1 year experience in any of those NOC levels. Okay, so Atlantic high skilled, you must get a job offer for at least 1 year. It must be a high skilled experience in the last 3 years. 1 year full-time experience is also required. Now, what is the difference between the high skilled and the intermediate skills? Can somebody tell me? Okay, for the high skilled, we only have NOC level A or B. There is no NOC level C. Okay, NOC level C only comes under the intermediate skilled. And for the Atlantic high skilled, one needs to get like, high skill experience in those NOC levels. Okay, which means, you know what I mean, right? You have to be superficially high skilled under those NOC levels. So a degree, master's, PhD, something high tech, like high skilled is what is required. Now, whether you are coming under the Atlantic International Graduate Pilot, Atlantic Intermediate Skilled, Atlantic High Skilled, you must show a language test, you must show proof of settlement that you have money in your account, and you must show education, be it high school diploma if you're an intermediate skilled, degree, master's, PhD if you're high skilled. Hope I did not confuse you. Atlantic International Graduate, Atlantic Intermediate Skilled, Atlantic High Skilled. This, if you can come under this and you will reside in the Atlantic province, then you are eligible for this program. And also, I wanted to mention, it's not on the slide, there is a calculator under the all links all links will be under the description section below. Do me want to like, share, subscribe, and click on the thumbs up. There is a calculator where you can go and see if you can actually come to Canada, if you're eligible to come. So it will calculate your CRS score. So if you select one of those Atlantic provinces, so let's say you select Prince Edward Island or Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, or Newfoundland and Labrador, they will rank you as, oh, Atlantic Intermediate Skill. You know where you stand though. So if you schooled in Canada, you in one of those Atlantic provinces, you come under the Atlantic Graduate Pilot, right? However, if you are like low skill, maybe you're like Busha or mid-scotter, you're under the intermediate skill and you come under no code C. And if you are like a nurse or a doctor, you're Atlantic high skill. So you know where you stand. But if you want to use that to, grade yourself, then it's good. Also, one thing I need to talk about, CRS is really not mandatory for this pilot. You know why? Anybody know why CRS is not mandatory for this pilot? Okay. CRS is not mandatory for this pilot because you are issued an endorsement letter from the province, which means you get provincial nominee program, you get 600 points and you're good. Okay, so you don't really have to worry about your CRS. However, if you want to check under that calculator to see if you're eligible under those programs, then by all means do that. Otherwise, I've told you what would make you eligible, and I would break down what those NOC codes and NOC level are, so you better know that, okay, and I will give an example as well. Okay, this is where I belong, or this is where I belong, okay? Now, one thing I want to mention, let's go back a slide. One thing I want to mention, there are certain experiences that will not count, especially for the intermediate skill and the high skill. Remember, for Atlantic International graduates, you don't have to have a work experience, but if you have one, that's great. The ones that need you to have experience now for you to be deemed eligible is the intermediate skilled and the high skilled. So pay attention, please. If you're self-employed, it will not count. If you have unpaid internships, it will not count as a work experience. If you have volunteered, it will not count as an experience. So please, please, please make sure that 30 hours per week for 12 months, 1 year work experience is paid, okay? It's a paid work experience so that you can be eligible. And also, one thing I wanted to point out, the difference between Atlantic intermediate skilled and high skilled. For intermediate skilled, the job has to be permanent, okay? While high skilled, you can have the job offer for at least 1 year, but for intermediate, it has to be permanent. So talk to your employer. Make sure they tell you that, oh, this job will last you for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, okay? You don't want to be the one that will say, oh, 6 months, I'm sorry, the job offer is only for 6 months. If it's only for 6 months, look for another employer, okay? That is designated. Okay, so let's dive in. The Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is a two-way process. It's a two-way process. There's an employer process and there's the applicant process. Now, there's also the settlement service, but it doesn't really come in effect because it's not long-term. So it's actually a two-way process. Settlement service people do come, they come in play. I would break those down for you, but it's actually a two-way process. An employer has a role to play, and the candidate or the foreign national or the applicant has a process, have a role to play. So let's dive into it. What is the applicant's process? They must get a job offer, and they must meet any of those 3 requirements. So the Atlantic graduate pilot, Atlantic intermediate skilled, and Atlantic high skilled pilot. They must find a designated employer. They must also meet with the settlement service and get like an assessment, and they must submit their information to the employer in order for the employer to finish off the endorsement application. So let me dive into the employer process. So the employer must be designated. So the employer has to go to the provincial government and say, hey, I want to be designated. It's free of charge. It's a long and tough process for them. And the employer should be able to issue a job offer that could be permanent or at least 1 year. The employer must be in good standing in the province. The employer must have operated 2 years in the Atlantic province. So if this employer is in Ontario, Saskatchewan, Quebec, they are ineligible. It must be under those 4 Atlantic province I mentioned, which is Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, and New Brunswick. Okay, so the employer must be able to work with settlement services in the Atlantic province. So let's go. This is the Atlantic immigration pilot process. So what does the employer do? The employer contacts the provincial immigration services and say, hey, I want to be designated. I want to recruit candidates to fill labor shortages in the province. And the province says, good job. You're trying to bring our economy up. So we're gonna get you designated. When the employer gets designated, what do? They recruit candidates to get a job. Yay! And when the candidates get the job, what do? They have to talk to settlement services. Now, the employer also talks to settlement services. However, it is the responsibility of the candidate to contact the settlement services so that they can get an assessment from them. Because once the candidate or the foreign national or the international graduate, I don't know where you fall under, but if you meet any of those 3 eligibility criteria, then you can either be an international graduate or a high-skilled candidate or an intermediate skilled candidate. Remember, you have to meet one of those 3 pilots that I mentioned 2 slides above. So the candidate has to go to the settlement service officer and say, hey, I found an employer that is designated with the provincial government, and hey, I need an assessment. I need like a settlement plan for myself and my family so that we can immigrate to the Atlantic provinces properly. And they have to fill, there's a lot of paperwork to do. All link will be left in the description section below. They have to get that assessment, get the settlement plan, get the employer designated forms and the proof of job offer, and other requirements such as their language test score, their settlement fund, their education, if they are going to use ECA for people who are coming under the intermediate skill and would live in Atlantic province. And what does this candidate do? Then they go back to the employer and say, hey, wonderful employer, you recruited me, you got me, you gave me a job. I've done the other side. I've gone to meet a settlement service, and I will tell you what a settlement service does and what they do in general. They'll be like, hey, employer, so we're at the sixth step. I got everything you need me to get. Take back the application. They call it an endorsement application. So the endorsement application will have the candidate's name, the candidate's assessment, settlement plan, the proof of job offer that the employer is designated, yada, 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 all the many documents. The employer will not gather them. Employer will not go back to the province again. Sorry, guys, I know I'm so dramatic. So the employer will go to the province again and say, okay, this candidate I got, so it could be Mr. A or Mr. B or Mr. C. The candidate has everything. Can you please approve it and give me an endorsement letter so that I will give that endorsement letter back to the candidate so they can go under the Federal Express Entry System and apply for permanent residency. Now, the provincial government is going to check, make sure you have your endorsement application properly filled out, make sure you submitted your proof of job offer, make sure the candidate did a language test, make sure the candidate has an assessment and a settlement plan from settlement services, make sure everything is in place. This process takes a while, but if you do it right, it's usually quick. It can take 2 weeks to 1 month. It can take 2 weeks to 6 months, depending on if you do it right, if you cross your T's and dot your I's. So, province checks everything looks good. Yay, congratulations. They give you an endorsement letter. When they give you an endorsement letter, the employer would, give it to the candidate, and the candidate goes back to the Federal Express Entry System, submit that endorsement letter. It's going to come under provincial nominee program. We'll say you've met provincial nominee. Remember, when you go to the Federal Express Entry System, you either meet Canadian Express class, Federal Skilled Trade, Federal Skilled Worker, or provincial nominee. So this is a complete. Remember, I said earlier that Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is a complementary provincial nominee program. Okay, now you submit your endorsement letter, you submit other information they need you to submit up there in the Federal Express Entry System, and you get 600 points, which means it's a guarantee to get invitation to apply. When you get an invitation to apply, congratulations, welcome to Canada. Okay, so what are settlement services? Who are these people? Settlement services, they help newcomers to adjust and settle in Canada. We have tons of them here in Ontario because I reside in Ontario, and they also have lots of them as well in the Atlantic provinces. So all links will be left in the description section. Please do me want to subscribe. This took tons of research, tons of time. I'm saying it to you, looks easy, but it took me a chunk of time to get this together. And I just had to summarize it. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to summarize this? So I've used them before, and they're actually great people. So settlement services, they help newcomers to adjust and settle in Canada. For the Atlantic Pilot Program, they offer a short-term mutual adaptation between employers and newcomers because they are the ones who do the settlement plan for the candidates, the newcomer or the foreign national, right? That would in the future become a permanent resident, to ensure they get their assessment and their settlement plan properly. They help with a lot of services. They help with language, they help with employment, they help with resume. Although they will not give you an employer, though they will not match you with an employer. That is the job of the employer to recruit you, or your job to make sure you get a designated employer. They also help with resume tips, job site. They have a plethora of resources. I've used one of them. There are many. One of the examples is YMCA. That's for the youth here in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Alberta has one as well. A&O Support Service. There is Women Counseling and Immigration Service. There is Access Employment. Tons of them. They also have one for disability as well. So all links will be left in the description section. If you want to go the long mile and want to contact them and know what they're all about, all the information will be left in the description section for the official website. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click on the thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up and share. Don't be stingy. Share, tell people so that they know. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to define what knock codes are. I think I also inputted this on the Prince Edward Island slides, but I want to make sure you know what knock codes are so you're not confused. So what are knock code C? Knock code C is for intermediate job levels. It usually calls for a high school diploma. So if you cannot finish a degree that is 4 years or 5 years, people get pregnant and life happen. If you have a high school diploma, knock code C, and remember, Atlantic Intermediate skills, so you qualify. Example of knock code C would be for industrial bushers, long haul drivers, meat servers, bartenders, food and beverage services. Knock code D is just general labor, fruit picker, cleaning staff, and janitors, oil field workers. Okay. And then defining not code A, B, and O. Not code A is for professional role, course for a degree like a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer. Not code B is for technical role or skill trades, apprenticeship, welders. Example would be welders, jewelers, and plumbers. People who repair jewelries comes under not code B. Isn't that interesting? Not code O, managerial role. So your store manager, restaurant manager, bank manager, supervisor, that is what you come under. So I did not put that in the slide, but I just want to talk about the fees. The same fees you pay for permanent residency is how much you pay. You pay $550 for the rights of permanent residency and about $825, I believe, for the processing fee. So everything is the same. You still go back to the express entry system like everybody else. It's just that for the Atlantic Pilot Program, you come on that provincial nominee program. Okay. So what is our summary? Our summary, we talked about the Atlantic provinces, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Those are the Atlantic provinces. We talked about the eligibility criteria, which means you have to come under the Atlantic graduate stream, the Atlantic high skilled program, and the Atlantic intermediate skilled program in order for you to be deemed eligible under the Atlantic pilot program. We talked about settlement services and their impact or their what's the word? They are needed, right? We talked about their needs under the Atlantic. They are big. I should have actually said settlement service, employer, and candidate, but settlement service, they just give you an assessment and a settlement plan, but they play a huge role. That's the word. They play a huge role in the Atlantic Pilot Province. We talked about not code A, O, B, C, and D. Please subscribe to my channel. You can see that took a lot of time, a lot of energy. Smash that subscribe button. Smash it, smash it, smash it. Also, one thing I want to mention, on my podcast, I did a podcast last week Friday. I talked about COVID-19 and traveling in 2021. So it's only podcast version that is available right now, but in the future, I may make a video. I will leave the link in the description section so you can compare and see if it's worth it to come to Canada in 2021, okay? So do not want to subscribe. That's my pretty face. I'm on Instagram only. I'm not on Facebook. No. Instagram, immigration_vlog. Subscribe on YouTube, like, share, and make sure you comment. I want to know how I'm doing. When you comment and I see patterns. So some people usually ask about the time factor. I've told you guys, it could take 2 weeks. I'm telling you, I know someone who took them 1 week. If you do everything well, it could take 2 weeks. If you did not really do everything well, they might ask for those documents. It could take 4-6 months. So subscribe, share, like, click on the thumbs up, comment. I want to see your comments, okay? That will be it for now. I may not post anything next week. I may, but that's why I need you to comment. So I know I gotta, keep going. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will say goodbye for now, okay? This is Beatrice Oti. Support me on on my podcast.